Hello, Adab, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, and thank you so much for joining us. शाम के 8 बज चुके हैं, संडे है, so here we are with another guest. मैं हूं आमिर आपके साथ नर्सरी लाइफ टॉक्स पे, and today we have a wonderful guest with us who's multi-faceted individual. उनके achievements की list बहुत लंबी चौड़ी है और काफी डिफरेंट चीजों में है, लिटरेचर में, प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट में, एथलेटिक एंड्योरेंस में. She's an acclaimed writer. She's written books like The Last Mughal Warrior in Love. That's a very intriguing title. Europe for a Bargain. And apart from that, she is working with multinationals. She's working in the education and IT sectors. She has been working there. And beyond her professional and literary accomplishments, she's also an ultra marathoner. Okay. That is something huge. She's an endurance cyclist. She's a dedicated yoga enthusiast. And she is Aditi Mukherjee. Thank you so much, Aditi, for taking out time. Thank you so much for gracing our platform today.
Thank you so much, Aamir. I mean, that was some introduction. All right. I feel flattered already.
No. I'm really flattered to have you here because itne sare achievements, I mean, ठीक है. लोग या तो नर्ड होते हैं या दूसरे एंड पे होते हैं, but you've covered all the checked all the boxes. I'm not calling you nerd, by the way, but I'm just saying that you've checked all the boxes. So you're into literature, you're into endurance sports, and you're into corporate training and everything. So that is quite something. That is like being multi-dimensional in every sense.
I try. I think that's my personality, that I like to do a lot of different things, Aamir. And जो कुछ एक चीजें जो मैं करती हूँ वो professionally करती हूँ, but I also enjoy them because they are my skill set. But and there are certain things that I am deeply passionate about, and I pursue them, to take care of myself. So, but it's a combination of things.
Right. So does it have anything to do with your upbringing, with your family? इन सारी चीजों का असर पड़ा है कि आप आज कैसे हैं? और
बिल्कुल, I think
yeah, please. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you cannot dissociate yourself or your identity from the upbringing that you get. I belong to a very educated family whose focus was always on trying to give the best kind of education to their children. My father was a very acclaimed writer in the banking industry. My grandfather was also a writer in the Bengali sphere. And they were all teachers in their respective also. So I think the idea of writing, training, mentorship is something that comes naturally to me. And so throughout the time that I was growing up, I grew up with books around me. I grew up in an environment where my father had like a huge library and books from across the different spheres. I grew up in environments where there was a lot of access to libraries and books were encouraged. For my birthday gifts, I got books as birthday gifts. And honestly, सच बताऊं तो आमिर, मैंने इनिशियली पढ़ना शुरू किया अपने डैड को इम्प्रेस करने के लिए, बिकॉज उनको बड़ा अच्छा लगता था कि मेरी बेटी पढ़ रही है, तो मैं उनको इम्प्रेस करने के लिए किताब पढ़ती थी. एंड देन आई स्टार्टेड रियली एंजॉयिंग रीडिंग, बिकॉज देन by then you've already cultivated a habit. And also the kind of person who you are, I think in your life also, you in a partner, you also look for people who are similar in nature, or at least there are similar things that you like or dislike. So in my partner, my husband, I found someone who's equally interested in literature, architecture, history, philosophy, and both of us are voracious readers in all these areas. So I think that extended my father's influence on me. That extended, and then I took it up as a profession. The area of reading and writing, and then it further extended to my family life when I got married, have children. Now we have a huge library at home, and both my daughters are very good readers as well. So we're trying to cultivate the same environment. Give them the same upbringing that I had in my home.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's actually उसका असर पड़ता है, किताबों का बहुत असर पड़ता है.
बिल्कुल.
Thankfully, जब हम बड़े हो रहे थे तो मेरे पास भी बहुत सारी किताबें थी चारों तरफ. My sister used to, one of my sister used to read a lot, and my father was also very fond of books. So thankfully, I got into the habit of reading. So that really definitely
Correct.
helps a lot. Yeah. So,
correct.
Are you saying something?
What I was, just trying to add to that is with reading, there is a certain level of experience and maturity that comes that will not come by, I'm not trying to belittle social media, but then there are limitations to social media, and there is need for us to go back to, doing a little bit of reading in order for self-realization and evolution.
Right. But like in social media, I mean, you're not doing that, but I really deride social media because it has taken away so much of our thinking capacity. It has just numbed us down to such an extent कि अभी discussions बहुत मुश्किल हो गए हैं. अभी बहुत सारी knowledge जो है ना वो social media पर आ रही है. इत्तेफाकन, I'll give you an example. The other day, somebody asked me, I mean, just ऐसे ही मजाक में, somebody asked me, what does this mean? And I said, this means this. So that person said, no, you are not correct. This doesn't mean this. This means this. I said, no, this means this. Let me check. So I went on Google and I checked it. So I was correct. The thing was कि Instagram पे वो कोई English सिखाने वाला कोई वो account है, and they have given the wrong meaning of the word. So that is really funny.
I mean very true. But then again, Aamir, see this, that it also connects people like you and me. It also connects, like, for example, the way I get to know about different events that are happening. What are some of the best books in the world? All this is coming because some people are posting good reviews. So there is that mix of good and bad, which is there. How do you sieve through that information is what we really need to focus on. Sadly, not all of us have grown to that level where we are in a position to sieve through that information. उसके लिए भी तो एक level of maturity चाहिए ना.
उसके लिए दिमाग लगाना. That is in short supply right now. I'm so sorry to say. I'm not belittling anyone. But anyway, so you were reading a lot, and that got you interested into writing, and what writing thing happened later?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
I'm saying that you were so बहुत से लोग पढ़ते हैं लेकिन लिखते नहीं हैं. So what got you interested in writing? I mean, your father was a writer, your grandfather was a writer. So is that what motivated you to write?
Actually, I think from a very long time, I mean, when I was very young, I wanted to be a writer. But then, आज से 20 साल पहले की बात है, Aamir, that you cannot say no to your father if he says, बेटा science लेना है तुमको तो. So then I was like, okay, science learner. So I did graduate with maths, physics, computers as my primary, I majored in those subjects. But then when I went on to do my master's, I decided I'm going to do my master's in English literature because that's the space I want to study in. And thankfully, by then I was independent enough to make my decisions. But to answer your question, I always wanted to become a writer because all my skill sets, all my interest, all my passion was only aligned towards that. And the books that I used to read, there was a lot of influence of that also because I was constantly in the habit of reading and writing. I did gain a certain level of expertise in the language at a very young age, which I continued to nurture further. When you start getting good scores in school, when you are the topper of the school, when you have your name, on their board written, that gives a different level of confidence to you that, you're good at this. You can make a career out of this. You are not wrong to want to have a career in it. I did eventually make a career in it, but the pathway was slightly different. But I'm glad I was able to work in the area that I really love.
Great. I mean, listening to that, your name on the blackboard, यहाँ तो मैं अपने शर्म के मारे स्कूल में मुंह दिखाने लायक नहीं रहता था. Anyway. So good. I mean,
it still worked out for you.
That's amazing. Yeah, in the end, everything works out for everyone, I think.
That's true.
So you books, I've got very intriguing this book title, The Last Mughal Warrior in Love. What is it all about? I mean, the title seems very, very different.
Right.
So I read a little bit about it, but
Surely. So the first book that I wrote, which is The Last Mughal Warrior in Love, was it's basically the story of Emperor Aurangzeb and how he falls in love with a very young girl, and who is his uncle's concubine, and that's actually true. That part of it is true, that it happened. Now, I discovered this accidentally when I was reading another book by another author. And while I was reading that, because that was also a historical fiction, Aamir, I was very, very intrigued by it. And after I finished the book, I thought, okay, it's funny and it's intriguing, because the moment you think about Emperor Aurangzeb, you think of a bigot, a religious fanatic,
something like that,
and a lot of other things, but definitely not this. So to imagine that there is a human aspect of this individual, I started doing a little bit of reading and researching around it. So I looked up the libraries for authentic biographies. I did read everything that was written by on Emperor Aurangzeb. And I did that for a good 6 months, because by then it was coming to my mind that, it is possible that something will shape up from this kind of a research. So for the first 6 months, I only did reading and researching, because I really wanted to be sure about what I was doing. See, one thing is, in this day and age, I didn't want to get into any trouble because of what I was writing. So I really had to be careful, and I had to do my due diligence with respect to the authenticity of the information that was coming also. So which is why after the first 6 months of research, I decided I was going to write a book on Emperor Aurangzeb and explore the sides of his personality that were not known to the world, because I think everybody deserves an honest chance, and I'm not here to justify anyone's action. I wasn't doing that, and I'm not doing that at all. I'm just telling a different side of that emperor's story. That's what I did. So it was a 2 years effort that I put in. And at the end of 2 years, I did get published. The name, The Last Mughal Emperor in Love, was to a certain extent, a need for public. It was out of the public curiosity also, that something like that generates a lot of curiosity. But yes, he was, after Emperor Aurangzeb, the reason I call him the last Mughal warrior in love was because, he was indeed the last Mughal emperor. After that, everybody else sort of fainted out, all the others who came later, and the Mughal Empire disintegrated after that.
Also. They didn't have that much power, and they were not fighting wars actually. And Britishers had most of the Britishers.
So that's the story that I am trying to tell.
Wonderful. That is. Although ये like you said, बड़ा मुश्किल है उसको balance out करना, नहीं तो दोनों तरफ लोग बैठे हैं डंडे लेकर कि आप इधर आ रहे हैं तो दिक्कत है, उधर जा रहे हैं तो दिक्कत है. So it's a very sensitive
Very true.
topic to talk about.
Very true.
And then you went on to write another book, Europe for a Bargain. That was
Yeah.
based on your own journey, right?
Yes. So this was Europe for a Bargain was conceived in my mind during my travel across Europe. So I was traveling with a travel company with a group of Indians, and it was a great experience. Great experience from the point of an observer who sort of enjoys the presence of people around, and I was also very excited with how people react to different situations, a different country, different type of food, different weather, everything. And we Indians are very vocal about how we feel and express ourselves. So that entire experience was phenomenal for me. It was funny, it was quirky, it was annoying at times, but I was like, this needs to be documented. And initially I wanted to do it like a blog or something like that, but when I started writing, I put out the first cut online, and then there was a lot of demand for it, for a physical copy of it, and hence I went out to the publisher, and we got it released. That book, interestingly, became a #1 bestseller in the travel humor section on Amazon, alongside Twinkle Khanna's. There was a pajama book that had come out at that time. I don't know what it is called anymore, but there was a word pajama in her book. So alongside her book, I mean, mine was the first and hers was the second for quite some time. So I was ecstatic.
Okay. Great. So this is like, so you write on different genres. I mean, one was historical, romantic kind of narrative. The other was travel. Then the third book, Love in the Times of Terror. That is intense. Okay. So what exactly was this book about?
Love in Times of Terror is, like you said, I mean, and like you've rightly noticed, that my writings have been of very different types, and I try to experiment, and I am bold in that perspective, Aamir, ki mujhe dar nahi lagta, to fail. So I'm like, I will give it a shot and see how it goes. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I would have tried. And hence, after having written a historical fiction, which was indeed a bestseller, because the last movie, Warrior in Love, was covered across 6 newspapers in the country. I was the cover story in Deccan Chronicle and Asian Age and all of those newspapers. The second book became an Amazon bestseller, so I was very high on confidence. So I was like, now I want to experiment with a different type of writing, and I wanted to write a full-on love story. And I have grown up during the period of the Mumbai riots, the Babri Masjid demolition, the riots in the 90s. The entire phase happened during my earlier years in life. So there was a lot of memory and, background that I had. And because I love the city of Bombay so much, I wanted to write something about it. So the story evolved out of, again, a little bit of background on the political history of the 80s and the 90s, and then which was intertwined with a love story of 2 individuals from 2 different religious backgrounds, and how they drift apart because, of their own, while they love each other a lot, but because of the divide between their understanding of their own religion and the the one that they love, and how they get back together. It's a very filmy thing. I'm proud of what I did then, and it's a very different kind of a writing. So that was Love in Times of Terror.
And then came another book, which is Damaged, That's a very gripping title, Damaged. I mean, it automatically speaks a lot about that it's going to be, a lot of emotional upheaval in there. Is it?
Yeah. I wrote Damaged when I was in a very dark space myself, Amir. I had lost
Okay.
both my parents in a matter of 6, 7 years, and
Mhm.
things weren't particularly going well for me. You know, everybody has a phase, and it's not just one phase. हर किसी का multiple phases आता है. So during one of my life's dips, I think because writing is such a creative gift that it gives you the ability to express yourself in a creative manner and not having to say what you have on your mind without really saying तुम्हारी दिल में क्या है उस चीज को फिर भी तुम express कर सकते हो through writing. And that's why Damaged came out as a collection of short stories which are very, very dark and disturbing. And
Mhm.
that's the review that I have gotten from most people, that once they've read a series of books, what it left them was a deep sense of anguish. That's not necessarily what I would like people to derive out of my reading, but that was the phase that I was in, and that was the writing that was coming out. And I'm glad people still read it because I was, creating that piece of writing, and because they loved my work so much, my earlier work so much. So I still got a lot of love for it, but uh, you know uh, from no one did I hear. They were so intense that it takes time to get over those stories. There are and it does reflect on my state of mind at that point in time.
I think, Aditi, मेरे हिसाब से that's being very honest. कि, what you're feeling, you're writing it. I mean, you're writing it as it is. I mean, as what you're feeling. So, इसके बजाय कि you're trying to create a false thing, you are actually being true and being honest. So I think that is very cathartic in itself.
एक
It's
चीज
very
तो
nice.
मैंने रियलाइज किया आमिर, इन सो मेनी years of reading, writing and teaching to write. I also teach people how to write because I'm affiliated with a few universities where I teach creative writing. But during the entire process of my learning to write creatively and having written so many books and then and teaching how to write, एक चीज जो which you rightly pointed out right now is you really, really have to be brutally honest with yourself and to the audience. Make believe in writing comes out very easily. And it is very easy to tell when something is authentic, which will be acceptable also, then something which is more of pretense and something that you're trying to emulate because someone else has written it. So for me, I would any day, and this is, while I was writing my first book also, the first book had a lot of gore and violence because those were not beautiful times. Those were times of violence. Children killed their parents in order to get to the throne.
Right.
Emperors had a million wives and they had their own harems and all of that. Marrying a minor was not something that was looked down upon, things like that. But then again, I initially I had my inhibitions about writing, and I was wondering, if I write this, how is it going to be perceived? This level of violence that I am explaining, what will it reflect about me? This level of intimacy that I am displaying in my writing, with respect between a man and a woman, what will it project about me? What is my father going to think when he is going to read my book? Those were the initial thoughts. But that's when you have to get over that inhibition and tell yourself that likhna hai to honesty se likho, because no other writing will be accepted.
Very true. Very, very true. And I think, but it's something which people are really afraid of. I write too, although, and so at times it becomes really difficult to, because you rightly pointed out, because there's a lot of that going on in the mind. कि अगर मैंने ये चीज लिखी तो how is my family going to you know, respond to
Perceive
it.
it.
And yeah, because and you try to not to be too honest sometimes, because if you're
Correct.
too honest, you think that they will be, really आ जाएगा मतलब लफड़ा हो जाएगा. Anyway.
एक ही बात है आमिर, एक ही फिलॉसफी पे मैं बिलीव करती हूँ, whether it is writing or whether it is my association with other people, is I bare my
Mhm.
soul. I am what I am in front of an audience. I am what I am to my best friends, to my family, to my acquaintances, and to my workplace people.
Right. So I think that is awesome. And so, do you have a process in place when you write? I mean, do you write whenever you want to write, or you, like me, कभी कभी तो एक हफ्ता लगातार लिखते रहे और फिर 15 दिन कुछ भी नहीं लिखा, एक लाइन भी नहीं लिख पाए, वैसा है? You're more organized and you can write and you have got a process to write.
I'm a very disciplined person, Amir. In life, I am very
No,
disciplined.
that
मैं कल
obviously
सुबह
shows from the entire thing that you're very disciplined. Yeah,
so
I'm so sorry.
so
Continue,
um
please.
yeah, like for example, because I have to go on a run tomorrow morning, my clothes are all ready, my shoes are ready, my electrolyte drink is ready. So I am a very focused and a disciplined person. Um, and that's with every respect of in every segment of my life. So when it came to writing, I write best early hours in the morning. So typically I wake up at around 4 o'clock, cup of coffee, nobody around to bother me with anything. I put my phone aside and I'm only writing. I can do very good writing for like 2, 3, 4 hours up till the world starts waking up around you. So when I have to write and I'm working on a creative piece, I typically spend my time, my early hours of the day in writing. And I have seen, some of my best work comes out. I also, the way I think when I'm writing is also very focused, Amir. Like, for example, मेरा
Mhm.
mode वही रहता है. Like, for example, whether I'm going to work, whether I'm cooking, whether I'm running, whether I am, writing, I am in that constant state of mind. Like for example, I become the character, I am the character, I am living the life of the character. So everything around me is the story that I have created in my mind and that I'm trying to write, and that's how it comes out
Wonderful.
to me. So, and that process works very well for me, because till the point I am not done with the story, I continue to remain in the mode of the character, in the mode of the plot. Sometimes when I'm writing from the perspective of multiple characters, then being those multiple characters, it's a great process, and it's a great learning about yourself also through that process. But to answer your question, I'm a very disciplined person and I do everything with great discipline. Like, for example, this year, there
Mhm.
is a marathon that I'm going to run in November, possibly. And the entire year has been about preparing for that marathon. When I ran the Kardungla challenge last year, I prepared the entire year just preparing for that one marathon, that ultra marathon.
So that is like dedication, commitment, and really taking it up with all sincerity. And I think that's what I said. It actually speaks about you, because when looking at your kind of the work you've done, your resume in a sense, so you're a endurance athlete, you are a writer, and you're a trainer, you're into education. So obviously, nobody who's indisciplined will be able to do so much. That is pretty obvious. So talking about वर्क, तो हम मैराथन के बारे में तो और डिटेल में बात करेंगे, लेकिन पहले टेल मी समथिंग. You've been long into corporate training and development and things like that, and you must have picked up lots of lessons throughout your journey. So can you share some deep insights with us?
With respect to my, I think one thing, like I said, that in everything in life, I have just tried to be honest about my learning.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these very small things that I learned during my own process of working with different organizations is that you really have to be open to accepting that you don't know something. Um, that you are a novice in something, that you have no knowledge in something, is a great way of starting to learn those things. And oftentimes, as we go ahead in our career, it is very, very difficult to accept that you don't know something. So just that acceptance that I don't know, but I have the great will to learn or understand, that can take you places. That's number one. The second thing that I realized is you really have to change along with the how the world is changing and how rapidly the environment around you is changing, because otherwise you are going to become obsolete like the technology that you work with very quickly. um in the sense, and it's not just about the technology, it's not about just learning what are the different things that are happening in the world. Like now we are using so much of AI, so knowing how the AI technology works and how to use it for your own benefit. Other than that, it is
Mm-hmm.
also about how do you manage people. Like for example, the present organization that I work with, it's a Canadian company that I'm working with, and I work with everybody who's in their early 20s, most of them. um and obviously I'm slightly older than them, and I'm being very modest here, slightly older. uh, so what I mean to say is that you really have to understand how a youngster's mind works. What are their interests? What is it that motivates them as their manager, or you really have to work around your own philosophies to be able to understand how is it that you can manage your team, how you can build them, and how you can motivate them to build their own careers, in the fields that they are most interested in. And that has to do with understanding people also. So I think what I mean to say is the need to understand and be willing to change your mindset, both with respect to the technologies that you work with and the people who you are working with, is I think the second biggest learning for me, having worked in this space for so many years.
Both are absolutely on dot. I mean, seriously, अगर आप वक्त के हिसाब से change नहीं हो रहे हैं and you're not learning new things, then you are going to get replaced pretty soon. The second thing, obviously, is the most important thing. Don't go ahead in thinking that you know everything, because if you know everything, then there's nothing which you're going to learn, and there's no
Correct.
space. Anyway, one of the listeners right now, Anuj, has written a question, so I'm just going to ask that question to you. How do you fight writer's block, and how often does it happen with writers? Okay. I think she already answered that question, but still, if you want to answer that question.
Okay, thank you, Anuj, for asking that question. Actually, writer's block is a real thing, Amir, and there are times when no matter what you do, not a single good sentence will come out. But I'll tell you a small thing that I do that helps me eventually overcome that, and that is I
Mm-hmm.
don't judge my writing so much, especially when it is difficult for me to write. There are phases when great creative writing is going to happen, but you will have those dull moments जब तुम कुछ भी लिखो खुद को अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, एंड जब तक तुमको खुद को खुद की राइटिंग अच्छी नहीं लगती तब तक तुम आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकते. I get that point as a writer. However, sometimes there is just need for you to continue to write despite not liking what you are writing, because the process of writing, when you're writing the first draft of anything, it is usually the worst kind of writing that you will anyways do. Only when you come back to edit it a first time, a second time, a third time, and many more times ahead, that's when your real writing comes in place. But unless you write that first draft, the second, third, fourth will never happen. So even if you think this is absolute nonsense, ये क्या nonsense लिखा है मैंने, फिर भी लिखो. because अगर लिखोगे नहीं तो उसको edit नहीं कर पाओगे. And sometimes you might erase the entire thing and rewrite it fresh, but unless you see what you had written, you will never be able to go back to rewriting it. That's worked for
Very
me,
true.
so you can try that.
That works for me too. I write वो जो भी दिमाग में आता है, I just scribble it down and उसके बाद because कभी-कभी क्या होता है ना, तो वो जो आप लिखते हो, that gives you a lot of ideas later on. What to add on,
Correct.
what to edit out, what more can go, and then फिर क्या होता है कि उसको लिखकर छोड़ दो तो थोड़े दिनों में ऑटोमेटिकली और बहुत सारे ख्याल उसके इर्द गिर्द पक जाते हैं दिमाग में.
बिल्कुल,
Maybe I
बिल्कुल,
can ask this,
बिल्कुल.
maybe I can focus there. Yeah. So, okay. Now let's talk about your athletic side of you. So you are a super randonneer. क्या उसका pronunciation क्या होगा proper?
So it's called randonneering. The term randonneering is
Okay.
randonneering is used for long distance cycling. So someone who completes let me explain this a little bit to you. So someone
Sure.
who completes in a calendar year, a calendar year is between January and December, like that kind of a calendar year. So within the same calendar year, if you are able to finish 100-kilometer, 200, 300, 400, and 600-kilometer ride at one go within the same calendar year, you are given the term super randonneer. So that's something that I was able to accomplish.
So in one go means that you basically ride for 100 kilometers in one go.
Yes.
Okay.
That's just one of the rides. You have to ride. तो वो एक करने से नहीं चलेगा. Then you have to go on a 200-kilometer ride. वो 200-kilometer ride भी वो एक ही shot में खत्म करना होता है. You can't like take breaks, do it on multiple days and all of that. So because there is a deadline by when you have to finish it.
So how many hours do you take to finish it?
Yeah. So the 600-kilometer ride was 2 nights and 1 day. That's how long non-stop you typically ride.
Wow.
So I know.
You continue, how are you able to do that? I mean, that is...
No, it's very tough, Aamir. It's very tough. Of course, you can take breaks and all that. I mean, you take your food pit stops and you take short naps if you can, or if you have the time. But you have to finish it in those many hours. And you don't really get too many hours to do that. I mean, you can't really go and take like a nice 5-hour long nap and then come back and ride. You don't get to do that. It's like you have to take a half-an-hour break. You have to time yourself. Re-energize, eat what you can, and then get on your bike and ride again.
Maybe I'll get my cycle oiled again and go at least to get milk on my bicycle.
That's a beginning.
Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. I mean, 600 kilometers, that's insane, man. That's insane. I had no idea things like these existed. Although I
also didn't know things like these existed till I started doing all of them,
So one of my friend Nitin, he does go on to, I mean, he lives in Delhi and sometimes he's off to Dehradun on his bicycle. So I knew that he was crazy. So, but that's him. I didn't know this was actually a thing. So, that is amazing. So,
it is.
So you into so many different things. Then again, you're doing too many things, and you married, and you've got a family and everything. So, okay, I get that you're very motivated and you're very disciplined in your life. So that explains a lot. But still, are there other things which explain that how you were able to do so much?
I think like I said earlier, Aamir, I'm very honest, and I also understand what goes on in my mind. A lot of the things that I do is are also escape routes from the humdrum of life's problems. So, like for example, running, cycling, many times writing. Sometimes going to work, playing with my little pet at home, spending time with my family. a lot of things are escape routes to many other things. Like if there's a work problem that I'm dealing with, I focus on, spending quality time with the family, because I know that everything that I'm doing is, to be able to provide for them. Then if I am riding or if I am running, it's sometimes to escape the problems at home, because I just need time for myself, and I want to take care of myself, my own mental health, my own physical well-being, and all of that. So it's not just about being motivated and focused, because कोई भी हमेशा एक ही लेवल का डिसिप्लिन, एक लेवल का फोकस नहीं रख सकता. You have to have greater motivations to do a lot of these different things. They have to bring you different kinds of happinesses, and all these activities bring me different kind of happinesses. Like for example, writing is my creative outlet. Running is my physical, is for physical fitness, and also because it's a great, it helps me with my mental health also. So it is cycling. Yoga helps me calm down. I feel great about myself when I help other people do yoga, and when I'm doing it myself, because I know that हर कोई run नहीं कर सकता, हर कोई cycle नहीं कर सकता, हर कोई लिख भी नहीं सकता. तो जो अपनी limitations में हम लोग कर सकते हैं, आमिर, is what we can do. And इसीलिए मैं बहुत सारी चीजें करती हूँ, because हर चीज का मैंने मेरी life में किसी न किसी चीज से it's helping me in some or the other way. I don't know if I explained it right to you.
No, you did explain it perfectly well. See, most of the time, I think. Okay, let's not get into philosophy, but I'll still say this: कि बहुत सी दफा हम लोग बहुत कुछ इसलिए कर रहे होते हैं because we are trying to escape ourselves. So कई बारी क्या होता है कि we either go in the wrong direction, like हम बहुत सारा टाइम टीवी के सामने गुजार सकते हैं, हम सोशल मीडिया पे गुजार सकते हैं, या उसको हम ऑल्टरनेटिवली दूसरी तरफ यूज कर सकते हैं. So results, I think, this speaks for itself. So having said that, I really want to know that lots of people complain. Obviously, they complain that they're struggling with life and career and personal life, and so they don't have any time left to pursue their passion. What advice will you like to give to them?
I have gone through the same thing, because for the longest of time, I didn't start the process of yoga, cycling and running. It's only been 5-6 years, Aamir. Usse pehle, I was struggling through the same thing. And that was again a phase of life, because the kids were younger. It was difficult to manage, a corporate life with 2 young children. Being a working woman and having expectations at home, a lot of it was not possible. But over the period of years, I have learned to prioritize myself. And I am thankfully now in a position where I am able to prioritize myself over, a lot of in a lot of different areas. Like for example, these days when I also stay in the present mode, in the sense that when I go to work, I'm completely focused on work, because I know that there is nothing that I can do about home right now. So if there is a problem, if there is a small problem that needs to be dealt with, I let it solve itself many a times. So it's the process of learning to let go also. It's a process of accepting that you cannot be all over the place. One thing that I despise, and it's made very obvious, the terminology superwoman or superman, it's not possible. We are not superwomen, we are not supermen. And we just have to accept it. We have to accept ourselves with our limitations and with what is possible from our side. And that's what I try to do, that I have accepted that there are certain things that I can do. What I cannot do, I delegate. What I can do, I focus on doing that one. I definitely try to live in the present. and focus on the task at hand. So if in the morning when I go out for a run, my entire focus is on doing the pace ranges that I am supposed to do. When I am with my children, my entire focus is on trying to be with them, learning what's going on in their lives. With my partner, is the same thing, discussing life together. And at work, I'm completely present at work because I know there is nowhere else I can do anything better at that point in time. So that's how I do things, to answer your question.
Farah has put it nicely. Aditi, you have an incredible ability to compartmentalize, which is truly compartmentalize, which is truly inspiring. Watching you manage different aspects of your life with such clarity and focus is a reminder that balance and prioritization are key to success. I think
that's true. Indeed, really, I agree, Farah.
That's good. Yeah, that's Farah is damn good. She knows. She has been into training and everything for a long time, so she understands it. So, लेकिन ये सारी चीजें जो आपने मेंशन करी हैं, चाहे वो राइटिंग हो, चाहे वो एंड्योरेंस स्पोर्ट्स हो, चाहे ट्रेनिंग हो, helping people out, so this all needs a lot of mental work. So doesn't it produce its own stress and doesn't it get too much on your head sometimes?
It doesn't, Aamir, because that's my nature. My nature is that I enjoy mentorship. I am a very good person when it comes to taking people under my fold and sharing my knowledge with them. I love that idea. I love the idea of gaining knowledge, and I love the idea of sharing the knowledge that I have gained. So for me, sharing something that I have learned from my experiences comes naturally to me. For me, connecting with people through shared problems is also something that I really, really enjoy. Because अकेले प्रॉब्लम किसी और को नहीं है ना आमिर, प्रॉब्लम तो दुनिया में हर किसी को है. एंड मेरी प्रॉब्लम्स भी तो sometimes I'm able to identify when I share, when someone else shares their problems with me. When I am counseling them, when I'm talking to them, I realize that I go through the same stuff, and it's a process of healing for yourself also. That when you talk to people, that conversation can help you realize that you are not the only one in life suffering from a certain kind of problem. You start identifying, and that helps. And for me, that is key to life. I am surrounded by people. I have surrounded myself with people, with people who are positive, constantly reinforcing, because that's the kind of a community I want to belong to and I want to be a part of also. I do not, I never indulge in idle gossip with anyone. I do not encourage any kind of negative conversations of any sort. I am nauseatingly positive. That's the extent of positivity that I have. So I think that's the thing about me.
So I think that answers Soumya's question. What do you do when you get frustrated? We all lose our natural process at those times. So she already said that.
I think. Right. What I typically do is I share, and thank God that I have such good people around me that I have the opportunity to share, bare my soul to them and share my feelings with them as much as, that's where that very strong sense of community and friends and well-wishers who are your true well-wishers, that's where it comes into the picture. I think that really helps me. I have a very tight-knit community of, very close friends and well-wishers around me.
Great. So, since we're talking about mental well-being, so how important is mental health awareness? Do you still think that there's a lack of mental health awareness in the society right now?
Oh, absolutely. I think the word mental health itself is a taboo and still is. And it's not just about, and the other day, Farah and I were having this conversation right before this interview, and we were talking about the
Mm-hmm.
same thing that, people think the moment they talk about mental health or even the conversation about mental health happens, it's about, अच्छा ये तो पागलपन की बीमारी है, साइकेट्रिस्ट के पास लोग तभी जाते हैं जब, you are mad or
आगे हो
going
जाते हैं.
mad. Yeah, पागल हो रहे हो तो ही जाना है. But then these level of stresses that we go through, sometimes professional help, even before you get to that extreme point, I think that can really help you get better and become better. So I think we all should just normalize the need for seeking help. पहली बार तो accept that it's okay to want help. Second,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to go and seek help and not judge people who are seeking that help. Once we start to normalize these two aspects, I think everything else will fall in place.
और मुझे समझ में भी नहीं आता कि वो स्टिग्मेटाइज क्यों करते हैं, क्योंकि ये अल्टीमेटली आई डोंट थिंक आई हैव कम अक्रॉस अ सिंगल इंडिविजुअल हु इज लाइक mentally completely at peace and completely there. I mean, even I've seen the so-called gurus getting all wound up when things don't go their way. I mean, even they lose their cool. So I don't think that there is any single individual who can say, "Oh, I'm perfectly all right." हर किसी को जरूरत होती है.
No,
बस
and
वही है.
projection of strength, Aamir, is very, very overrated. Just because someone is projecting strength, that does not mean कि उसकी लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं है. हम सभी की लाइफ में इतने ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स हैं कि we need people, we need someone, sometimes an outside help, or if you have a good community of friends and family and well-wishers around, use that for your mental health. Do better, do things which will help you feel good about yourself. If and that's why the reason why I indulge in yoga, cycling, running, they are all therapeutic in some or the other way. I'm not saying forego professional counseling and go run instead. I'm saying do this also, but definitely seek professional help if you feel that you need it, because we belittle the concept of mental health too much, and to the point कि जब तक extreme necessity नहीं हो हम तब तक approach नहीं करते. Sometimes by then it is too late, no?
Very true. Obviously. Very, very true. So, looking back on your journey, you've done so many things. 5-6 सालों में you've picked up all these sports and everything. So, but still, what has been the most significant challenge that you've faced and you've overcome?
I think there were 2-3 things that I would say would be challenges and achievements. When I was writing my first book, Aamir, my father was detected with cancer. And that's when I discovered that he was not going to live beyond, a certain period. I was writing my book then, and I was in talks with Penguin at that point in time, and we were close to finalization. But you know how big publishers are; they take their own sweet time to, finalize
Respond.
things and all of that. So, but I wanted my dad. I knew this book. I was very sure this book was going to make it big because of what I was writing, because of the content, because of the story I had built it. I was very sure about the work that I had put in place. But then I also knew that my father had very limited time, and I wanted to see him proud, Aamir. I wanted to see that expression on his face that my daughter has made it in life. So before he died, I got the book published from a far smaller publisher than who I had initially, almost signed up with, just because that would give me, because the book would come out far sooner in time. And when my dad saw me as the cover story of a newspaper, he told me this, and I will remember his. I have like it echoes in my ears till now, and it's been several years now. That he said, "You have no idea how proud you have made me today." And I think that was the day when I knew that, okay, I had done justice to the education my father had given me. So I think it was a challenge also because I was running against time and trying to finish a book and get it out. I could have gotten a far better deal with respect to publishing. I still think I got my due because of the amount of media coverage that I got through it. But the fact that I was able to get it through to my father just in time for him to see it was the challenge and the accomplishment. That was the first one. I think one of the other challenges that I faced was last year, the physical one, when I signed up for an insane running challenge in Ladakh. It's called the Kardungla Challenge. It's a 72-kilometer run which starts from 40 kilometers above Ladakh. So Ladakh itself is 5,000 meters above the sea level. This place was another 500 meters.
There.
Sorry?
As it is normal people need oxygen tanks there. I mean,
yes.
जब वो ऐसे घूमने जाते हैं.
Exactly. So I don't know why. So I know why I signed up for it. I was going through a emotional crisis, and I was like, okay, this is a way of dealing with my crisis. I am going to sign up for a insane, crazy, impossible run, and that's what I did. But this is the thing. I'm a very afraid person also. I am very, very scared, Aamir. मुझे बहुत डर लगता है. And because मुझे इतना डर लगता है कि मैंने क्या sign up किया, that's when I started training for it. So, and I trained so hard and so much that at some point in time, the confidence that comes is because of how hard I have trained for it. And it took me a year to train for that run. During the run itself, it was a very, very exhausted, and it's a brutal, weather-wise it is brutal, to your body it is brutal. It is not something that you recommend to people with, who have difficulty with their hearts and all of that. So you really have to be cleared by a doctor to go and do something like that, because it's a very high altitude run. You have to finish it during a certain duration. But because I was so committed to it for an entire year, I was able to finish it, and I finished that run in 12 hours 40 minutes. It's a straight run of 12 hours 40 minutes that I had to do.
12 hours 40 minutes. Okay, I'll have to take time to that's amazing, Aditi. I mean, what can I say? That's really amazing. I mean, Ladakh mein people need oxygen cylinders when they go and visit. And to run 72 kilometers, 76.
72.
72 kilometers. Okay, I'm so sorry, but you are insane in certain way. I'm so sorry, don't be offended, but this is like something which is very insane. And only few people can really do this. So I'm glad that you're here today. I'm talking to you. So
thank you.
Okay, so we come to the end of our conversation, but before I take your leave, I want to ask you one thing. What's next? I mean, what is Aditi planning next?
I think my goal these days is being happy and having peace. And I do anything to keep that state of mind. But again, I think with respect to, with age, Aamir, your goals also keep changing. The focus is on spending quality time with family, being financially secure so that you are able to provide for them and their future. I also want to continue to be physically in a position and continue to be fit enough if they want to go out for a run, I should be able to accompany them. If they want to go play badminton, I should be able to accompany my children doing that. So I don't want to be physically limited in any way, and I want to live my life along with my children, be able to contribute to their life, while I'm also doing things for myself. So I enjoy the work that I do. I enjoy my diverse portfolio of the professional experience that I have and the work that I do in teaching, in mentorship. I want to continue to do all of that, and of course I want to continue to run and cycle and yoga and be able to continue to inspire people. I hope a lot of other people are able to take this up
I
and
hope
take
you
care of
continue
themselves
doing
through
all
this
that.
process.
I do really hope that you continue doing all that and you continue achieving things. And next time we talk, there are, 5 different things that you've already done. Thank you so much, Aditi. That was really nice of you to take out time for us. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time I had talking to you. And
Thank you so much for inviting me over the show. I had a great time having a conversation with you.
yeah, and thank you so much for the positivity because I think the positivity is on my face right now. So, as for the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us. And we were talking to Aditi Mukherjee, who's a writer, she's a trainer, she's an educationist, she is a mentor, she's an endurance athlete, she's an ultra marathoner, she's a cyclist, she's a yoga enthusiast, and she has got a lot many other boxes to tick. And I hope she will be doing that. Thank you so much once again, Aditi, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye and good night. And as for the rest of
Goodbye.
you, we'll be meeting again next Sunday. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, Jate Jate, Meena has written that you are always an inspirational person. So, thank you, Irfan. Bye-bye. Bye, Aditi. Lovely meeting you.